All right. Obviously, after we got a chance to come back and watch the game, a lot of positives, but also a lot of things we had to clean up. Really, in all phases. Obviously, offense put up some great numbers, and statistically did some things. But I'm sure dive into the numbers, some of our early down efficiencies, and some of our red zone stuff. It's always great to kick 5 field goals, but it's also sometimes not the greatest thing to kick 5 field goals, right? So, David absolutely lights out. He's being announced as the Big Ten Special Teams MVP again, 2 weeks in a row. It hadn't been done here in a long time, so let alone in the conference. Just super excited. David has just become such a confident young man in what he does, how he does it. Kind of a little thing, but a big thing to have a new holder this year, now a new snapper, so his whole battery has been changed from a year ago. He's just an exceptional player and really trying to do everything we can. I called the Groza Award, kind of crazy, like him and I also reached out to the Blitnikoff when the year started, and we got rolling to get these guys on their watch list. And sometimes Illinois, it takes a long time for people to buy in what we're doing around here. The Blitnikoff I started a couple years ago with Isaiah, and then Pat, and they added him late, and now I think they added 10 or 11 guys last week, and Hank Beatty wasn't on it. So it just shows that people don't truly just understand numbers and what's coming at them and how they're presenting it. So super excited for David in that one. Defensively, obviously, to get a couple stops there at the end, but there's a lot of things to clean up on that side of the ball as well. So really good work day on Sunday. Put it to bed. Today is our mandatory NCAA day off, but our guys I know have got 7 games now that we've played with. Longest in our league, the latest bye week of anybody in the conference. So we've been talking about it since January. So we've been really building this moment for our guys. Obviously, to put us in this week now to get us to play at our best on Saturday, we got to be fresh. We got to be feeling good about where we're at and what we're doing. So I thought our guys have really been doing that pretty good over the last 3 or 4 weeks, doing a lot of extra overtime in the soft tissue recovery. Josh has afforded us a soft tissue recovery room in our building here that gets used every day. A lot of those guys come over and get 2 treatments every day to try to get their body at its best. So obviously a tremendous challenge here with Ohio State. Got a lot of respect for Ryan and his staff, and know several of his coaches, don't know them well. Obviously Matt there, Patricia as a defense coordinator. I never really crossed paths with him at New England, followed after him. A lot of respect for what he built there and what he did. And several of my players played for him at Detroit, and just a really fun thing to see him come in the league to what he brings. And obviously they're playing at a high level on defense. So offensively, I know Ryan's influence and what they do offensively. It's a very explosive offense. Got guys on the perimeter, very, very good up front offensive line, good tight end package, good wide receivers, obviously. So special teams, good athletes all over the field, and they execute very, very well. So tremendous challenge, number one team in the country for a reason. But like our guys, like their attitude, like their demeanor. I don't know if we have ever played a game yet where we put it all together for 4 quarters, and there'd be no better time than this week, right? This is a team that you need your best at opening snaps to the last snap. And with that being said, I need our crew out there in Memorial Stadium, Gies Memorial Stadium, to be as best as they've been. I tell our guys every day, 3 things you should do every day when you wake up. Do things right, respect everyone, and be the best you, right? Anybody that's coming in that stadium, if you can give me that on Saturday and be here a little early. Students, make an appeal to you. I know they got up early to go over to the Barstool Big Noon kickoff thing, and then they couldn't quite make it to the 4th quarter last time. So if you got to taper your entry to maybe like 7 or 8, don't be there at 2 a.m. Because we need you for the long haul, right? We need you for as long as we need you on Saturday. So it should be a great environment. I'm telling you, when you walk into these environments in the Big Ten with great stadiums, you actually feel the energy when you walk on the field, and we are very, very close to doing that, and hopefully Saturday will be the icing on the cake for this year. So a tremendous moment. Memories are created from the opportunity to capitalize on individual moments, and this is one of those. So super excited about that, and hopefully we can make it all come true.
2007, when Illinois beat Ohio State there, you were coaching Elsor. Do you remember how you reacted when you heard that, and maybe ever looked at the game or say anything about it?
Whoever we played that day, that was my sole intention. I literally never pay attention to what's going on. And at the end of the day, on Saturdays, I'll go watch and see what happens. I got a chance to watch, some of the Big Ten games on Saturday when we got back. We got back here about 5:30 and went on date night with 3 beautiful women, my wife and 2 daughters, and got back to the house about 8. We put them down about 8:30, and then my wife and I sat down and I get entertainment from watching football with my wife because she is very, very high football IQ, but she has irrational and rational thoughts very seldom, very close together a lot of times. And she's got her favorites, and a lot of times it's usually on the other coach's wife, whether she gets along well with her or not. So it's always very entertaining. I had a great Saturday night, and then led into Sunday. But no, I obviously I know it's a big game. Juice reached out to us. I know Juice is going to be here, and he was a huge part of it. Got a couple coaches that were part of that. Obviously, Josh and his history here at Illinois. This has always been something that's been a really big game. You play Ohio State, it's a really good opportunity to see where you stand in college football, and they have held up their end of the bargain, and hopefully we're starting to hold up ours.
Luke Hollemeyer is accomplishing some things here that we haven't
Yeah.
seen in a while. We talked about him a lot already, but what are some of the keys you think to his development over these last 3 years?
Well, I'd say, for me in dealing with quarterbacks, I've always really admired guys that are the same guys every day, really all positions, right? And Luke is that. He's a definition of consistency. If something's off, you literally know right away what it is and why it is. So I think, one of the things that you can bring to an organization, especially successful organizations, you can be the same person every day. Consistency and communication is everything. And Luke has a very consistent way of doing things. He's a great communicator. He's not going to go out and talk to 50 people. He can do that, right? Like I saw him communicate in front of the basketball arena when he said he's coming back, and I saw that reaction. But he's also really good at these one-on-one conversations. I think out on the field of play, he communicates very, very well, and is intentional in his leadership. I think he knew Saturday he could feel it. I had a meeting with him on Friday, and I literally walked out and I kind of had a conversation with myself, and then I saw Art Sikowski about 2 hours later in the hallway, and I said, our quarterback's feeling pretty good. And he started laughing. He goes, Coach, at an all-new high, right? So it was kind of, you could see that one coming, and to see it materialize. I think his confidence in the way he talks when dealing with Hank, talking with our running backs, with our offensive line. And I tell you, the key for me last week when I knew we felt good was when he knew that Josh Kreutz wasn't going to play and he knew TJ was going to get his chance. He said, TJ's been great all week. Like, he literally, first thing out of his mouth. And I think that, when that gets relayed to TJ McMillan, that makes him feel really good.
You mentioned Josh. Any idea if he'll go this week?
Josh Kreutz? Yeah, I thought he was right on the verge of it last week, but just Friday he did not feel good enough, and I didn't want to put him in that position because I knew he wanted to be back for this one. So I think we'll know more towards the end of the week on whether it is or not, but if he doesn't, then it's next man up, just like every other position.
You guys that have played big roles, and I know they had injuries against Indiana. Matt Krasetich and Aiden Lawfrey, just where are they at right now?
Yeah, so Mac, first off, when he had that injury, they said he's going to be out multiple weeks, right? He literally played like 3 days later. But there were some things, I think even Saturday, he came up to Aaron, I believe, before the game and said, hey, I can do these things on special teams. I just don't know if I can. And I tell those guys all the time, we just want honesty, right? Like one of the greatest teaching lessons for me, we were playing at Iowa. We had beat Ohio State the week prior, and we were going on the road to Iowa. And I knew it was 2 back-to-back really tough games, and I kind of preached all week, we need everybody's best. And Peter had rolled up his ankle a little bit that week during practice, and he went the first half. It was a really tight ball game, and he came up to me, and he's just crying his eyes out. He's like, Coach, I can't give you what I need to give you. And I said, we got it, right? And we switched him out. And Travis Frederick ended up being a first-rounder, pretty good player, popped in. But I'll never forget, I went back and watched that film, and if he had continued to play the way he was playing in the first half and we did that in the second half, I don't think we would have won that game. He had enough wherewithal to know that he could pull himself out, and that's what I think we kind of say to our players all the time. Like, Aiden Lawfrey, could he go? But when he sees number 5 go and he sees number 3 go, I think he knows they're better than what he would have been. So I thought Aiden was really close. He was. He practiced really good Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. He literally tweaked it a little bit. Friday he felt pretty good, but we didn't do a lot of activity. And then when he went to run Saturday, it wasn't there. So I think both those guys will play. I just don't know if it's going to be quite there.
I believe this is the same season you just referenced. Your 5th year at Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
You played number 1 Ohio State in week 6. You were 18, they were 1. Like, this is an identical scenario. Do you draw on that at all? Do you try to reduce the mystique of number 1 for your players? How do you look at that?
Yeah, we definitely are going through a process. I think anybody that knows me or has been around me, and anybody that's played for me, we have a way of doing things that is very guided. But yeah, I actually referenced that team to this group back in fall camp. So to have this moment, yeah, there are a lot of things more to show them that this is something that if you come to college football, these moments really don't happen all that often. I've been head coach 17 years, and the amount of times where I get this moment have been very few. So to realize the moment you're in and take advantage of it, like I've said, I told it to our players yesterday, a special memory is created from moments, right? And what you do with that moment makes that memory. So I'm super excited for our guys. I'm really excited for our fans. I say it to our players, and I want people to understand where I'm coming from. This is no disrespect to anything that's happened in the past year, right? But like these moments just don't happen. They're created over a long time. The Michigan moment a year ago created a memory that lasts a lifetime. I still have people coming up to me this year and then that USC game last week was really, really pretty awesome, right? And obviously to have number 1 Ohio State coming here is awesome. But there's a lot of really good players that are playing on both sides of the ball. So. That was a night kickoff, so it was a little bit different. And that year we had lost to Michigan State early in the year, kind of knocked us back. You're right, I think we were number 18. But that was playoffs and all that stuff, right? So the rankings weren't there. So, but yeah, I think the fact that not many of our guys have been in these type of games. So the good news is they've been in a lot of big games and they've done well.
What's your assessment of how the defense is playing right now, and maybe some things that you're continuing to evaluate with that unit?
Yeah, without a doubt, when we play defense, I don't mind. If we give a big play, we just got to get it down, right? And we've just given up over the last 3 or 4 games plays that are explosive and go across the end zone, right? And that's the things we can't play. There's so many times, even like Saturday, I think 2 of our last 3 drives defensively, they're going 2 minutes. We stopped them, right? And we just got the ball in front of us, got the ball down. They gained some yards. So I think that. Now I will say this. Obviously, I'm not oblivious that defensively we've been pretty riddled with injuries, especially in the back end, which caused a whole chain reaction of things. But we're getting a little bit healthier. I think Aaron's understanding the personnel a little bit better, and then bottom line, the players around him got to play extremely well.
Balance between limiting those explosive plays and trying to ratchet up some pressure on quarterback.
Well, I think twofold. You got to maximize the moments. Like if we dial up a pressure, it's got to land, right? If we got to overload a pressure, if we got to sometimes like the little thing I always say, pressure away, make it stay. Like sometimes we brought some pressure and they've escaped out of it, right? And there's just some principles there that we gotta do a better job of upholding. And tackling is a big part of that too. Like when you have some of those tackles, that could have been a 2 or 3 yard gain, and all of a sudden they're turning into 12, 15. The big play that actually got erased because they had a penalty on Saturday. That was like Matt was right there and got knocked off it. So. I know we'll emphasize that this week in practice, but this week in practice, in my opinion, for me as a head coach, the real challenge for me is to get my players ready to play at 100 miles an hour on Saturday, but also get them to prepare physically and mentally. So Tuesdays, we're not going to change. We're always a full padded big boy practice on Tuesdays, and I think we need that more than anything. But we also have to be super intelligent about to get to Saturday and play the way we are. I do like the cooler weather's coming. I think that should allow us to play in a way. I was a little concerned there's supposed to be some showers tomorrow, but it's going to dissipate, so I think we should be able to practice in our normal time slot, which is good.
When we were in Vegas in August, Luke said he was excited to find out who the alpha in that wide receiver room was going to be.
Yeah.
But I think, maybe tell me I'm wrong, but I felt like you guys in the building and maybe even Luke knew that it could be Hank Beatty, or has he exceeded even what you thought was possible?
I think Hank and Colin both are pretty special players. Really Hank, Colin, and Hudson. All 3 of those guys have more eligibility left, right? So, it's fun to think about that room and where they can go. I think a tremendous part of that is Justin Stepp. I think our wide receiver coach is the best I've ever had, and an extremely gifted person, but he's an extremely gifted human. Like, he is very intentional. I'll sit down there before our last meeting. I literally see him hand a card to every player. He writes a note and hands it to every wide receiver that plays in that game. And I don't know what's in that card. That's their business, right? But the intentionality of that, right, is really high level. And I think for a guy like Hank and a guy like Colin, they're very emotionally invested players, and they're not just showing up for work. I think what goes on in their heart and in their mind really carries onto the field, and that's not surprising. I'll go back to with Hank Beatty's mom and dad, like both doctors that are just really, really high level care factor for Illinois. Like when I first talked to Coach when I was recruiting him, like just the passion that his high school people in his building, not just his head coach and all the assistants, the way the high school felt about him at Rochester, you could tell that he was really something special, and that's what we're seeing.
Just one more about the tackles. We have seen some missed tackles defensively. What do you think is gone into that being a week-to-week issue?
Well, first off, they're pretty good. And second thing is, we sometimes tackles are like other aspects of football. They kind of come contagious at times, and then they kind of spread into a lot of different areas. You got to build their confidence up. I think one of the things that plagued us, some of those balls that are getting into the second level are getting there very fast. So we just got to be better about what we want to do with the ball at the line of scrimmage so it doesn't get up on those guys really, really fast. And then just make sure that pre-snap wise, a big part of our defense is being able to, and I'm sure you hear when people talk about they play us like we don't show what we're doing sometimes, but at the same account, you can't put yourself. I remember there was a play earlier this year that happened at Duke. Xavier was bailing out over top, but he really was going at a bad angle when the guy's coming at a different angle. And I just said, hey, man, like there's some times where we can do that, but we got to put our guys in a position to make sure they can make plays, right? So I think that's a little bit of a combo platter.
Does not being able to do live tackling in practice play into that at all?
No, I think that's, well, I mean, everybody's going to say things like that, but like we've been a pretty good defense when we haven't had live tackle. I don't know if anybody ever live tackles in seasons like that. I've never done that in my career. I think tackling by game is really dependent on that game. You can practice it and talk about it, but the execution of it is really big.
Outside of the Indiana game, what's made your special teams such an advantage for you, it feels like, in these games?
Well, I think, twofold, our specialist, right, David, and what he's doing in the kickoff game. And he had the one out of bounds, but that's really the only flaw he's had the entire year. He's just those guys have had, I think we've had 3 kicks returned now, and none of them have gotten past the 20-yard line. So even if a team's brought it out, they haven't gone past the 20, which I don't know if there's another team in college football that's played. And then Crimmins, the way he hit the ball at Purdue, I mean, he had a little extra juice. That was his old team, right? It was funny. The official came up during that pileup for the loose ball. He's like, hey, one of your players is pulling somebody off. So I got on the offensive headset. I told offensive coaches, and I told the defensive coaches, well, hell, it was my punter, right? I didn't know it was my punter pulling people off. I said, do you have a little grudge? He goes, I don't know who it was. He said, but I just thought it was awesome. And then, Andre, like there's just some guys that have flashed. Ashton Holland's coming by and punching that thing out. That's contagious things, So, like, I just give. I mean, Robbie Disher, I think he's exceptional. Chris Hurd, you've heard me talk about him. It's just those guys. Harper Cole is another guy I brought in who was at TCU, played at Arkansas, a kid from the Chicagoland area. I mean, I literally sometimes will walk down the hallway at 1:30 in the morning. Those guys will be in there working. Like, it's just the amount of volume of work that those guys do is insane. And they attention to detail. And I will say this: Chris Hurd was the first guy, I believe, him and Harper, I went and sat in their meeting room, and they were the first time, Andre Lovett, they're like, Coach, this kid's really doing, it was like week 2, week 3, it was his practice reps, it was look team stuff that carried into where we are. So I've seen that happen time and time again, and that's really fun to watch.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.